What's up, guys? It's Crash. Got some more Battlefield information for you guys today. I checked out the earnings call that just ended. It was about an hour or so, and there were a couple of interesting little nuggets in there. Not a ton. It's probably going to be a shorter video, but I want to get you guys this information. But there are some interesting talking points and maybe kind of a sneak peek into the mind of Andrew Wilson on how they're looking at Battlefield and how he sees the last couple titles and how it actually, admittedly, did not go so well. So I thought that was interesting. There's also some intertwined relationships with Apex Legends, how that's working out, and some other things talked about with other massive games launching this year, as well as a super broad kind of launch window that really doesn't tell us too much, but it is in there. So let's get right into what was talked about. We know that Battlefield Labs was launched yesterday. We saw some of the gameplay. Everybody was talking about it. And what they said in the opening remarks was that this allows them to refine the game in an unprecedented way, that Battlefield has never been to this step at this scale this early. And they acknowledge that expectations on game launches has shifted. I think the expectations for Battlefield games haven't really shifted, but they never meet them hardly. So maybe they're actually going to try to meet them this time. I think that's pretty cool. And again, a lot of the stuff we're hearing in here is some really awesome stuff to hear, but we have to see the game. We have to see it played before we can decide what to do, and no pre-orders, man. But anyway, fiscal year 2026 will be the next release. That takes us up until, I believe, April of next year, but we can still probably expect the game to launch in the fall. Sometime October, November is generally what we would expect. We're on this timeline of actually alpha testing now and getting community feedback through Battlefield Labs. We'll see actually how that plays out, hopefully well, and they have time to fix it between now and then. Then they talked about how Apex Legends is down, but they expected that. That's been a little bit of a theme over the last couple earnings calls. Apex Legends was always the bright spot that they talked about, driving earnings and stuff, and it's on the decline just a little bit. We'll get into some interesting stuff with Apex in just a second. Then someone asked them in the questions about Battlefield Labs. Andrew Wilson said, the response has been overwhelmingly positive and exceeded expectations. You guys can probably see that by the massive queues that have been going around on Twitter. A lot of people are trying to get into the labs. I will say, definitely keep trying it over the next couple days and even weeks if you haven't gotten in yet. They did tweet over on X that it doesn't matter what order you sign up in. That's not how they're selecting people. So everybody kind of has an equal chance to get in there. I would say we all probably have a pretty darn low chance with as many people as we've seen in those queues. There's a lot of people signing up for it, and we already know that there's just going to be a couple thousand in the first one. So we all are at a pretty low rate or a low chance of getting in there, but we'll see what happens. He said that there's two reasons the team is taking this approach. They kind of want to bring back get back their reputation from the core community of Battlefield. Now, this is what I thought was the coolest part of the whole thing, if you believe what he says, right? We have to take everything with a grain of salt. They just want to make money here. But he said the last two Battlefields did not land, and it didn't resonate with the big core parts of the community. So he said this time around, they're committed to working closely with the players early on to basically fine tune and balance. And what they're gunning for is testing and tuning with the community for a stable and secure launch. There have not been very many Battlefields that have been stable at the very least. So hopefully we can actually get that where we're starting that early. But what he talked about was the last two Battlefields, Battlefield 5 and 2042, did not hit with the core community. And he said, you know, kind of essentially, you know, if you read into his comments a little bit, that they're going to have to work to rebuild their reputation with the core Battlefield audience. And I think that is incredibly true. And, you know, even if it doesn't play out so far, it was really cool to hear him say that and admit that the last two Battlefields didn't hit. So they know that they have to change things up. That is definitely a good sign. He said this is the biggest Battlefield that they've ever built. Especially in terms of money that they've put into it. Says it's the biggest investment in Battlefield ever, and the ways you can play and access the game. Now, they've already talked in previous ones about how Battlefield could be an ecosystem, so I kind of assume that there's going to be like a mobile type something or other that plays into it, and maybe cross-platform, cross-progression where you can work on the battle pass in different ways. So that was what was said. Something interesting about Apex Legends, someone asked about that, and he essentially kind of said there's going to be a big, meaningful Apex update. And he said Apex 2.0, if you will, but they wanted to make sure not to launch it at the same time as Battlefield. And he said that they're going to launch that after Battlefield. So Battlefield is going to be ahead of the big Apex 2.0, whatever meaningful big update that is going to be. So I thought that was interesting because if you guys remember Battlefield 5, Firestorm essentially got deleted by Apex Legends. Firestorm came out, I thought it was actually pretty cool. But Apex Legends kind of stealth dropped with all the creators playing it for free. Firestorm was locked behind the paywall of Battlefield 5, and they had two, battle royales at the same time. Apex took off. Firestorm did not, unfortunately. I thought it was cool. Whatever, hate on me in the comments, I'll be okay. But someone also asked how the pipeline of their peers influence their own launches and stuff like that, presumably talking about, how Grand Theft Auto is going to be. And this is where he said that they've invested more in this Battlefield than they ever have. And they believe they have kind of a good window picked out, but if it doesn't look good, they may move the window. So leaving the door open to push it back if something else big is happening within the industry. He said they want to make sure they give it kind of the room and the release window to give it the best chance of bringing in all the players that Battlefield deserves. So they could change the window, and they're kind of looking at a little bit dynamically, but I would say it's probably still penciled in for October, November. That's kind of what Tom Henderson also said on Insider Gaming when he reported on the fiscal year 26 launch. But that's everything that was said in there. Overall, there's not a ton here. I just wanted to get you guys some information because it is interesting to think about. It is interesting to hear Andrew talk about. I haven't really heard him say, in a long time, that Battlefield 5 missed with the core group either. We heard some of the, if you don't like it, don't buy it kind of things. And, they kind of stuck to their vision, really didn't listen to anybody. It sounds like, at least on paper, at least on comments to shareholders, that they really want the core community of Battlefield back. They're listening to it, and they want to maybe make a game like we used to. We've talked about it tons of times. The recipe is there. People have been screaming it from the mountaintops for a long time on how to build a good Battlefield game, and let's hope they do it. Let's hope Battlefield Labs is a step in the right direction. If Battlefield Labs, big if it is executed like it could be and the right people are listened to, I think it will make a better game. And we could potentially, I'd say there's like a 37% chance we could launch with an actually stable Battlefield at launch. That would be, whoa, So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really enjoy making these videos, and it's fun to talk about Battlefield again. Let's hope it launches much better than the last two. Thank you guys for watching till the end of the video. I can't thank you enough. Have a great day.